What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today on the LS swap, I'm going to be breaking down this harness and seeing if I can get it kind of figured out and get it laid out the way that I want. So I'm going to start breaking it down. So there's actually a ton of videos on how to do LS wiring and to modify your stock harness for your LS swap, but I figured I'd go into it, make a video about it. These are the connectors for the PCM. On this model, I have red and blue, a red connector and a blue connector. I would take the blue connectors off. There's also a red and green, I believe it is, on the newer models. This is out of a 2002, 2001, 2002, I think it is. But to take these clips off, and they aren't labeled, and I should probably label it blue so that I don't lose track, but I'm only going to do one at a time. I'm not going to do them both at the same time. A lot of people take both red and blue clips off and just set them off to the side. I'm not going to. I'm going to do one at a time. But you could label it blue and red. That way you don't mix them up. And to take these clips off, they got a slot in it right here. And there's a little tab down inside here that presses in. And I will show you. I'll take a red clip off. I'll put it right back on so I don't mix them up. But it's really simple to get these clips off. You just take something like this little screwdriver, that little clip inside here, and then you push it. And as you push it, you pull the red tab up, and it actually separated. Go to the other side, and you have a little white tab inside there. Do the same thing. You press that tab and pull it up. So if I can get it so you can see it. So you press this little white tab inside here, and then you pull it up, and then it just pulls out. That's how you do both of them. So after you get those removed, what you're going to do is go to the back side, and they have plastic covers over them, like this red one does. And to remove those, I've already removed the blue one. They got little tabs. You got a tab here, tab the other side, and to get them off, you just squeeze them and pull up. And then you also have tabs in the middle. This one's kind of hidden. As you can see on this blue one, it would be right here, and it's hidden down there. So there is one in here, so you just got to squeeze it and pull it up to get that cap off. So for anybody who doesn't know anything about LS swaps, I highly suggest you go out and check out this online forum that you can get all of the pinouts for these plugs. Tell you which pins you want, which pins you don't want, because there's a lot of them you do not want. So go over to lt1swap.com. That's lt1swap.com. And there's a ton of information there. So that's how I got these pages. And it tells me, so this yellow wire, I'm going to end up removing. These blue ones, I'm going to go ahead and keep and make sure that I label them whenever I disconnect them from my harness, wherever they're at. And you just go through and you do and follow exactly as it says. And you should be set. So I got the blue for my blue pins and the red one for my red pins. And again, go check out lt1swap.com. There's a lot of information there. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've taken all of the sheathing off, all the wiring up to this point, which is about, I'd say, a foot back from this junction. And then I stuck some electrical tape just around certain points just to kind of keep it in the same shape and form that it was, because you don't want to pull these wires too tight. Otherwise, you'll end up snapping them and they'll break and they'll fray and have problems later on when you got to put the wiring harness back together. So I put some electrical tape just around some key points just to keep it together, and that way my wire loom doesn't go all over the place. Okay, so I'm not going to need this connector, or this connector, so I'm going to snip them all off. Some of the wires are going to be used, and I will address that when I get to it. But for now, I'm going to snip all three of these off. This one's some wire snippers. And I'm going to cut it as close to the plug as I can. That way I have as much wire length as I can possibly get. But most of these wires in these are going to be gone. Okay, so this is what I mean whenever I say I'm going to snip all these plugs off. I literally just took these snips, snipped them all off. So now all of these can go in the garbage. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is on this plug, I am going to snip every wire that is not pink. All the pink wires and the orange wires should be, the pink I believe is the constant power, no, pink is the switched power, orange is constant power. So I'm going to snip every wire that is not pink on here. This is how it should look once you've snipped all of the wires that aren't pink. I left these orange wires in here, and I probably could snip them right now, but I'm just going to leave them in there for now. And these are the wires that I snipped out of it, all right here. So this is how it should look. Okay guys, so this is how simple this is. I've got the blue connector here, and see one blue, and then you go down here to where you find the first blue ones, and it's right here. So number 19 and 20. So the pink wire, number 19, is the ignition, and the yellow is battery. So you got the key on and the always hot. So what we do is we go to our blue connector right over here, and we look for, again, number 19 and number 20. So on the back of these, so we can see in there, they have numbers right above the wires. So I'm looking for number 19 and 20, which happens to be the last two top ones, right here, 19 and 20. So I'm going to follow these wires all the way back down this wire loom, and they both come up to this plug. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip them free, and then I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to put tape around it and label it what it is. Alright guys, so once you get to a plug that you don't need, for instance, me on number 25 is a tan wire, it's bank 2, sensor 2, I don't need that wire. And to remove that, you find number 25, which happens to be right here, and it is tan, it is the tan wire. So what you do to remove that wire from the PCM, is you're going to depin it, take your fingernail and pull it back. Once you pull it back, take a screwdriver and push it down, because it takes a little bit of force. Once you get it pressed down, you should pull right out. Right there, and that pin is out. And then you just pull it out of the harness. So once you have the plug fully done, you've removed all the wires you need to remove, and you've labeled all the wires that you need to label. This is what you're left with. This is the blue plug. All of these wires up here are the ones that I need, and I have them labeled. So I've got 2 orange, I got a constant PCM battery, I've got PCM ignition keyed, TCC brake switch, OBD2. Those are all wires that I need. The wires I took out, or I'm working on taking out, and I've taped my harness back up in the same shape that it was prior. That way I don't have any pulling on wires and I don't have to worry about destroying anything. These are all the wires I've traced back to this far. These are all transmission wires, which in my instance I don't need because I'm not running an automatic transmission. And then I've traced all the rest of the wires that go up the harness farther, like O2 sensors, some transmission sensors. Those are all right here. And for now, I'm going to leave those right there. So this is about as far back as I've traced them. And I'm going to start working on the red wire, or the red plug, and do the same thing. Trace all the wires that I do need, label them, and all the wires I don't need, I'm going to pull back down to the harness. So once you have both plugs done, you got the blue plug depinned and the red plug depinned. This is how your harness should look up to that junction that you stopped at. So what's going on here is I've got all of my wires that I need that are labeled sitting up here. And then I, again, taped this harness back into the original factory shape. So it should fit something like this in the engine bay, or in my case, under the dash. And then keep it nice and tight and neat. It comes up here. All of these pink wires are the only ones that are left in this block, and all of these go to like injectors and stuff like that. And so we're going to wire it into relays. And all the wires that I'm removing are right here. These are all wires that are coming out. I got a bunch of wires coming out of there. So now what I gotta do is peel this loom back the rest of the way and start fishing all these wires out of there just to keep it as small of a loom as possible. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. Okay guys, so for my wiring harness, I got it pretty much done. It's fairly close. I have a couple more things I gotta finish up on it. But let me just show you what I got going on here. And look at that, I got my headers on. I do got my headers. I also have my bracket for my motor mounts. But for this video, I'm gonna show you the wiring harness that I got going on. And I got everything kind of laid out where I want it to go. And of course, I do things the hard way, which means this wiring harness is now backward. The main plug, these down here. So this main plug, it goes to my PCM. Remember, they used to come from up front. They used to come from up here. They used to go up, and then they go on top of the intake, and they would Y out. And then they go down to my coil packs, and they go down to my injectors. And I didn't like that. I wanted it, I took it the hard way. I wanted it backward. So what I did was I flipped my harness from this direction, and I flipped it over the back. And I have everything, because I had it labeled before. You know, I had everything already labeled. And, oh, okay. So I had everything already labeled, sorry. And then what I did was I laid it in the direction that I want, and I've got everything kind of taped up as far as where it's gonna lay. And I would like for my PCM, these plugs, you know, they plug into the PCM, I would like for that to be in my car, inside the car, underneath the dash. So the firewall would be right around here, and then I have all of that length that I can run underneath the dash. So I think it's gonna work out pretty good. So pretend like the intake is actually setting up here right now. What I've got going on is I got the main loom in the back now, and it Y's off here. This goes down to, and I just got them jammed inside the headers right now, but these are my O2 sensors. I've got a couple plugs that I need to shorten the wires on, like this is my intake. Sorry, this one right here is actually not my intake. It's my knock sensor wires, and I don't need them that long because, I mean, it just goes to right here. So I need to shorten this wire. I have this wire here, which is my intake pressure sensor. I'm gonna shave my intake. My intake is actually sitting right down there. I'm gonna try and shave it and see how it goes. But then my plug will actually be on the back, so I'm gonna have to either loop it back around like it's laying now and plug it in the back, or I'll figure that out later. For the passenger side, I've got, these are my two grounds that I said in the beginning, and they're gonna attach right here to this bolt right here. So they're actually laid out right in the right spot. I just gotta shorten them a little bit and tee them together. And then I've got up here, I just wanted one set of wires. So I've got my injector plugs that run all along my head. And then I've got my one coil plug right here. And they're all connected together. They're all stuck together. And I will probably set my intake on top here, just so you can kind of see where everything lays with the intake in there. And then I've got my cam position sensor right here. Just comes off this big bulk and goes right there. This plug here, I don't need. I'm gonna go with a mechanical gauge. This is for my oil pressure gauge. I'm not gonna run the electronic, I'm gonna run the mechanical. So that's gonna come out of there. So I don't need a wire here, I'm gonna have my own. And then on the driver's side, same story. I've got my big harness teeing off. It goes up here. This is gonna run right in between my fuel pressure rail, or my fuel rails, and the runners for the intake. And it's gonna run right between there, and it's gonna actually get right up here. And these go to my throttle position sensor, alternator, stuff like that. And then again, my main harness here that runs right next to the head. It's got my injectors. And then I've got my driver's side coils, plug for that right here. That tees into it. And it just runs along with it. And then it also loops down, this wire harness, it loops down right here, as you can see. Not this, because this is my mass airflow sensor, but this set of wires loops down, and it's all going to be covered. Don't worry, it's not going to rub on anything and wear through. But this goes down to my coolant temp sensor, and then it runs. I have a ground right here that I'm going to attach to the block, and then this runs over to my crank position sensor, which is on the other side of the block. It's actually right back here on the other side of the block. So that's that set of wires. Now the final set of wires that I have up here is this set, and it's for my mass airflow. And I think my intake's gonna be right here. So my cold air intake, I think I'm gonna have it run right this direction. So my mass airflow is gonna plug in right around here somewhere. I might have to shorten these. They're not actually attached yet. I just have them all snipped and taped together. That way I can figure out the length whenever I get it in the car and I get the intake tube on. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the intake up here and show you how it looks now that you guys have an idea about how all of this wiring goes, and show you how it looks once the intake's up here and all the wires around it. So let me get that set up here real quick. Alright, so I've got the intake just setting up here now. It's loose, just setting up there. But this is about how it's gonna look. So remember, all of these wires that you're seeing right now are gonna be covered. They're gonna be black, so they're gonna be very inconspicuous. And looking at it, you don't see a whole lot of wiring, which is what I wanted. Because before, remember, it came up here, like I was saying a second ago, and it actually went up and rode on this, the main harness did, and then it wired off on the top. It used to wire off, and then it would ride all over the place, and it would just kind of loop down and drape down and plug in. So now, right now, everything's pretty inconspicuous. Like I said, I wanted one strand of wires running the length, and that's what I've got. I've just got, and I know there's a lot of colors right now to look at. I'll show you whenever I get it all taped up. I got a couple more things I got to finish up on it before I can tape it. But whenever it's taped up, I will show you how the final product is and the end result. But one set of wires goes all the way back. That's all we got on this side. Just one set of wires all the way back. On the other side, same thing. One set of wires. These are all going to be connected together. Remember, they're going to be black. They're not going to be standoutish like they are right now. And then it's going to run one set or one loom right here. It's going to go down, and in between the fuel rail and the runner is where that's going to ride. And there shouldn't be any issue in there because these bolts that are sticking up right now, they're going to be down. Right now I got some tape down there so they can't fall down. But then it's going to come back here. Same thing from up here. Just one set of wires, all connected and all together, all the way to the back. And I'm probably going to have some form of attachment or anchor right here to this bolt. That way it doesn't walk around a whole lot in the back. But I like it. I mean, it's turned out pretty much the way that I wanted. I'm not going to complain as long as everything works and as long as everything does exactly what I want. And like I said, this right here, this plug, this intake pressure sensor, is going to be probably relocated back here, either down here or up here or here, somewhere. It's going to be somewhere in the back, so you're not even going to have that plug up there anymore. But for now, this is the wire harness. And then all of these pink wires go to my injectors and stuff like that. So I gotta get these snipped, and I have a fuse block that I got made that I'm gonna have off of the side in the engine bay, and then that's gonna do it. So I don't want to tape this up until I get the engine started. I want this engine to start before I tape this up. So what I'm probably gonna end up doing is I'm not gonna tape it until it's in the car and I've started it. That's the moment that I know that everything's working the way it's supposed to. That way I know I don't have a broken wire anywhere, and if I do, I can fix it. I don't gotta tear the whole harness back out and tear it all back down, because that's a pain in the butt. It takes forever. But this is how it's gonna look. So looking down on it, you don't got a whole lot of wires. I mean, these ones over here, they stand out because they're colored, like I said, and all this stuff over here is colored, but when it's black, you won't even notice it. So that's the wire harness for now, guys. I worked about 12 hours on it, just tearing it down, taking all the stuff out that I didn't need, and then probably an hour just flipping everything around. I only had the length in the one wire. One wire was too short, and it was a ground wire. And, see if I can find it for you real quick. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that for you. It's in this wire harness somewhere. But it was just one ground. It was too short by, I don't know, about 2 inches. So I put probably 4 inches in there just to give myself some extra leeway. And then I kind of looped it around whenever I taped it to itself. But one wire, that's all I had to change. That's all I had to extend was one wire. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Alright guys, so I'm going to conclude this wiring video. Hopefully you guys found some of it helpful. I know I didn't go into complete depth on how I did it. There's a lot of videos out there, guys. And I honestly did this way late at night and I was super tired. But hopefully you found something that I explained to you helpful. Hopefully I explained how you can flip your harness around if you want to and still run it. So, as always guys, leave a like, comment if you have any questions or suggestions on how I should do something. If you see something wrong in this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And when you do subscribe, make sure you click that bell notification. As always guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.